Good evening, guys. I am so excited to talk to you today, and thank you for joining me on such a short notice. It's amazing. So, my name is Dr. Silverman. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and my story started in former Soviet Union over 30 years ago. I was a pediatric surgeon for a couple years, 2.5 years. And on the verge of 1990, December 89, I immigrated to Canada, lost all my credentials, and thanks to my husband, went back to school, thanks for his support, and graduated from University of Alberta, my second medical school, and I cognitively chose to practice surgical pathology. So today I was working in my office. It's my week off, actually, and still I was working. This is my closest friend. His name is Microscope. I diagnose cancers for a living, and if you don't know what surgical pathology is, you're absolutely lucky. I am the doctor you do not want to know. I'm the doctor you don't want to see. By and large, I specialize in breast pathology, and by and large, I diagnose breast cancer. And until 2004, I was an absolutely conventional physician. I never thought that alternative medicine exists. In 2004, I stumbled on my family journey. My mom was diagnosed with deadly cancer, and basically I failed to save her. I didn't have any conventional ways to do that. And mom crossed, and she started me on my journey. Since 2004, I am an absolutely conventional doctor with an absolutely non-conventional mission. I'm learning any ways of medicine. I'm learning the ways of medicine to help patients. Not only to help the disease, but number one, to help patients. Because if I identify the root cause of the disease, which is missing in conventional medicine, then I will be well off to treat the patient, not the disease. So you know what, every time when I do science lecture, I like to go and do a little bit of a literature search. So today is not an exception. And it's very hard sometimes to copy and paste, but let me just share one slide, and then I'll go to the presentation. So this is the slide from the, no, that's not the slide, obviously. Share. I wanted to show this. And for some reason, it is not sharing. Well, obviously, we are doing a live presentation. But guess what? I'm smarter than the computer. I hope so. So sorry. This is the slide that I wanted to show you. The paper that I discovered is published in 2019 in the Frontiers of Pharmacology, and it is about diabetes, oxidative stress, and mitochondrial dysfunction. Let me start with a very profound statement. Every person with diabetes needs to know about how to reduce cellular damage or oxidative stress, because glucose in the sugar, the elevated levels of glucose in the sugar, elevates our free radicals. It creates that free radical barrage and that free radical damage, which essentially leads to what is called sequelae of diabetes, or complications of diabetes, which includes atherosclerotic disease, nerves disease, eyes disease, kidneys disease, and it definitely, diabetics have a high rate of cancer. But look at this slide. Why am I so excited to talk to you about mitochondria and cellular health by reducing of cellular stress? Because, so this is the mitochondria. What harms the blood vessel? Look, this barrage of free radicals. Where is barrage of free radicals come in diabetics? By and large in mitochondria. Look at this. ROS free radicals, oxidative damage, cellular damage, mechanical stress, high glucose, and inability. With high glucose, there's an ability of provide oxygen to the cells. How do we deal with this? We deal with this with antioxidants. We're going to talk about it with, unfortunately, caloric restriction. Some of us don't like that, but we deal with this. And we're going to talk about metabolic modulator. That's exactly what we're going to talk about. Cellular upregulation and metabolic modulators. It's basically the same thing. And then this is going to lead to enzyme activity. So let me get out of this and let me get into the presentation, proper presentation through the PowerPoint. Awesome. So when I told you that my journey started in 2004, absolutely. And I started learning anything to it. Foods, lifestyle, meditation, mind health. And in 2013, when I was introduced to LifeVantage, it absolutely blew my mind. Because for the first time, I discovered how can we deal with cells in particular? How can we actually deal with cellular garbage? How can we deal with cellular health? And what do these organelles, how can I upregulate cell to health? And how can I deal through cellular upregulation? Can I deal with senescence or aging? Can I become chronologically older? Actually, can I look and become biologically younger? Feeling better, having more energy, preserving my health, and actually teaching that. And I am still, thank you to LifeVantage, but I'm still on this journey. To me, it's about learning every day and discovering, improving, and supporting my philosophy and my theories of health and my theories of cellular support and cellular cleanliness, because clean cells are going to equal to healthy cells. Healthy cells is going to equal to my overall well-being. To my healthy cells, happy cells. Happy cells, every cell, from the mind to the toe. I want my happy, healthy cells to be in my mind. Then I'm happy. When I'm happy, people who are around me also feel that I'm happy. Because do you want to be around miserable people? No. Do I want to be around miserable people? No. But guess what? Miserable people don't feel good. Happy people feel good. And I know when I'm not feeling good, and I know when I'm miserable. But I'm trying to get myself out of misery every time. I am happy. I'm happy. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I'm loving. I'm happy. So, and this, let's say, this is the analogy. This bucket is the dirty cell. And when the cell is dirty, that garbage is going to lead to every major chronic disease. And this is the point. I always make an analogy, us, for example, as a home, as a house, or us as a car. Every one of us cleans the house. Every one of us goes and tunes the car, takes the car for a tune-up. But we forget about tune-up of our own body, of our own cells. And the thing is, and that's what this is the amalgamation of the bad stuff and the lack of a good stuff. This is a negative equation where we have too much of the outside impulse, like stress, emotional, financial, environmental, work-related, relations-related, electromagnetic field stress, and then bad food stress because we don't get enough of the antioxidants in the food, and then we are not able to upregulate our cellular defense apparatus, and that's how we create this negative equation. Our health is a very simple thing. It's the positive equation of a good things against bad things. It's as simple as that. And that's the proactivity. That's why, as an MD, I'm your consultant, but you are in charge of your body. So you, every one of you, have to be or has to be proactive. My choices lead to quality of my life. Your choices lead to quality of your life. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I am teaching you what I think is right for me and what I think can change. So the foundation of our being obviously starts with food. We need food for many, many things. We need food as our blocks, as the blocks, not only to sustain us, to give us food and energy, but every food that we consume, our proteins and carbohydrates and fats, they are cellular blocks because they give us these building blocks to sustain the cell and to make new cells. However, you need to realize if we're building new cells, if they're proper blocks for the foundation of cellular growth, it has to be nutrient-dense foods. And indeed, we need to maintain the nutrient-dense foods when they're full of goodness and antioxidants. Everybody knows about it. And these antioxidants that we get from food are called direct antioxidants because they directly negate, they directly battle these free radicals, directly, not indirectly like our own antioxidants that we make. But we need to realize that we cannot make our antioxidants if we don't have the blocks, the foundation of building those antioxidants. Because what are these antioxidants? They are huge molecules that contains of proteins, and some of them contains of lipids, and some of them contains of essential or necessary carbohydrates. And we need carbohydrates for energy. So we need this, but we must get this. And this is a tricky thing because if we don't take care of ourselves, so that defense apparatus and our cellular functionality decreases. That's how we get sick, and that's how we get a disease. So, I will talk about this NRF2 activation a little later, but you see the comparison. Why do we need both? This is 1-to-1, but what we make negates over 1 million free radicals per second, every second. But we also need to understand. So, for example, look at this guy, glutathione. Glutathione is the master antioxidant in the cell or in the body, master antioxidant. Now, that master antioxidant helps, to regain vitamin C, because our famous vitamin C that we get from blueberries and from citrus fruit and from a whole bunch of tomatoes, a whole bunch of other stuff, cranberries. Bernice is a little bit familiar with cranberries, having a beautiful cranberry farm in New Brunswick, and I'm going to visit it. So, thank you. So, but this vitamin C, when it hits the free radical, it turns into a free radical itself. So in order to rebound back into antioxidant, it needs that glutathione. That's why you cannot just eat. People say, oh, I eat right. Not enough. You need to eat right, but you need to make it. But you cannot make it without eating right. So now, another thing about glutathione, the importance of glutathione is major organs. Where the most they need glutathione, how's about brain? That's where we absolutely must have that cellular cleanliness, the brain cell. Who wants to be confused and who wants to have a brain fog? None of us, right? I don't want to have a brain fog. So, and the glutathione is one of the major contributors to the brain cell cleanliness. So, now, NRF2. NRF2, in 2013, I became obsessed. I became obsessed basically with two things, NRF2 and mitochondria. I became a mitochondriac. So, and I'm still infatuated with NRF2 because reading more and more and more and how that NRF2 interacts with other cellular components, it's a master regulator. And for me as a physician, that statement is very profound. And that statement is very profound because it's real, because in 2018, in April, I went to Madrid to a second in the world NRF2 conference with the title, A Future Therapeutic Potential. And yes, guys, they don't talk supplements. They don't talk nutraceutical. They absolutely talk drugs. But see, the thing is, the drugs, we need the drugs when the situation is appropriate. But being proactive, being pro-healthy, we need the food and we need the proper upregulation, because drugs go into one direction. Proper food goes into holistic approach, whole body. Now, why NRF2? And because, look, NRF2 is a single hit that turns on. Why would you like a drug? Why do you want a drug that's only going to hit one thing? If you can eat some proper foods and take some proper herbs or cellular upregulators with one hit to turn over 250 survivor genes, the genes that are going to help to fight inflammation, chronic inflammation, that are going to help not to fight cancer, but to turn on anti-cancer genes. Every day we have mutated cells floating, but we have the system of defense where our anti-cancer genes know that, oh, there's a stranger. Oh, I need to be on, I need to be up. And that NRF2 is going to turn on this anti-cancer genes. And as well, what we're talking usually, it turns on our antioxidants, those what we discussed before, indirect antioxidants like glutathione. Now, this is very profound. Again, this comes from the latest review. Provides cytoprotection, cytocell. NRF2 activation provides cellular protection from chronic diseases like lungs and liver, autoimmune diseases, neurodegenerative diseases, metabolic diseases, and cancer initiation. Now, these are the culprits of our society, right? The most common chronic diseases. Different joint arthritis, right? Now, metabolic disorder, metabolic syndrome, which is a chronic disease of the liver, adult type diabetes, high blood pressure, and obesity. Neurodegenerative diseases, have you heard of multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease and Huntington disease? And different kinds of dementias like Alzheimer's disease, and then pediatric conditions like autistic spectrum disorder, different movement disorder. We can lump all these diseases as neurodegenerative, or the diseases that are caused by neuroinflammation. So my proactivity is not to let this happen through good life, through good food, through the proper cellular upregulation, and I need to prevent cancer initiation. Same thing. It's all about choices and proactivity. And I already mentioned that. Now, this is just the summary of the thing, because obviously by the legality, we cannot test NRF2 activation on humans and human diseases, but multiple studies are done on murine samples or on mice. So we know that, especially in light of NRF2 conference in Madrid, there are multiple drug applications, NRF2 formulations now. We'll already have an FDA-approved NRF2 activator for one of the most severe forms of multiple sclerosis. But I also know that there are studies, comparison studies that compare this dimethyl fumarate, which is known as Tecfidera or BG12, MS FDA-approved drug, but we know that our natural NRF2 inducer has no side effects and perform better by comparison. Don't get me wrong, we do not have the clinical study, the clinical validation that we can't, but that's what we have. So I talked to you about this. Again, to me, everything is in simplicity. You reduce your free radicals, your cell is more protected. Your cell is more protected, the cell is more vibrant. We upregulate the cellular defense, that anti-inflammatory mechanism. Same thing with the cardiovascular disease. You see, that's the same equation. And see, when there is a cellular toxicity, oxidative stress, there's not enough of this guy. So we need to turn on. So this is the future. This is my excitement with NRF2. And turning myself in 2004 into alternative learner. I want natural stuff. I want foods, I want herbs and roots, I want lifestyle, I want exercise, I want meditation. I actually don't want drugs. But if I have my validation that all of these diseases, all of these diseases are now in the clinical trials by these drugs, all of these drugs are NRF2 activators. That's why I'm on the path of doing it naturally. Now, obviously, I am into cancer, and that's my main thing. And I am conducting a couple research project on NRF2 in breast cancer. So this is my path. So I need to see that how is NRF2 in different kinds of breast cancer. I definitely do have research validation that the NRF2 is reduced in a lot of breast cancers because the majority of breast cancers are environmental. They are caused by cellular damage, by oxidative stress. However, there is a population of breast cancers, and I keep telling people that cancers are very smart. The bugs are smart, and cancers are smart. The bugs adopt to our antibiotics, and the cancers adapt to our therapy. So the cancers develop their own NRF2 activation, because they want their own antioxidants to resist chemotherapy. What is chemotherapy? It's a free radical napalm. It's a barrage. So the cancers develop their own apparatus. So I want to get it before. Again, I want to be proactive. I want our choices. And even if the cancer has this defective, pathologic NRF2, I want normal NRF2 and upregulation for everything that surrounds cancer. Cancer is a break in the immune system. So I want that immune system to get back to normality. I want the microenvironment of cancer become normal, not toxic. So that's why I still want the physiologic, the healthy, the proper, the nutritional NRF2 activation. So This is just, I'm just flashing you the summary of some of my talks. Nerves and brain cells. Extremely important to turn on NRF2. I told you, because oxidative stress, cellular damage, neuroinflammation. Neuroinflammation is going to lead to accumulation or formation of plaques. And formation of plaques is known as Alzheimer's disease or dementia. Why the rate of Alzheimer's disease and dementia is so high? Why in the last couple decades it's so high? Don't you think it's because of our life choices and how we live and what we do? So let's start cleaning our act. Let's start being proactive. NRF2 decrease in epilepsy. I mentioned this study. You know, obviously it will be nice to have a human study, not possible, but at least I will take this. NRF2 activator pretandum, most potent inducer, most suited for therapeutic strategy. Too bad, we're not allowed. We don't treat, cure, mitigate disease. But anybody can take it and see their level of activity. See how good are they going to get. Mitochondria, love mitochondria. Now, I told you, number one, clean the cells. Any which way you're cleaning the cell, cellular modulation, NRF2 activation. So then, turn on your cellular engine. What is your cellular engine? Is your mitochondria. This is your cellular engine. Not only this is your cellular engine that is literally going to give you energy, but this is our control tower. Mitochondria is a cellular control tower. It tells the genes what to do, how to do, when to do, with whom. You do not want confused mitochondria. You do not want dysfunctional mitochondria. You do not want tired mitochondria. And you also want enough of them. And we know when the cells are dirty, the cells are under oxidative stress, it causes mitochondrial dysfunction. Not only it causes mitochondrial dysfunction, it causes aging. And via aging, there's a decrease in mitochondrial numbers. We need to exercise because it boosts our mitochondria. We need to stay calorically low, not starving. There is no starvation diet. Doesn't work. But we need to be vigilant and not to overeat, stimulate mitochondria. And you see, this is a very interesting slide because mitochondria is very, very vulnerable to toxins. Mitochondria is very vulnerable to oxidative stress. Not only it's vulnerable to the external oxidative stress, mitochondria creates its own oxidative stress because it is the hardest working bee in the cell. Because mitochondrial functions are so abundant. And when it gives us energy, it works so hard. So it produces the majority of cellular byproducts. What are the cellular byproducts? They are free radicals. So that is so important to keep the cellular milieu clean for those existing mitochondria. But we also need to turn on the mitochondrial NRF2. It is still there. Mitochondria has its own glutathione. So turn on cellular NRF2, and it's going to turn on mitochondrial glutathione. We need it. So then, obviously, look, during neuronal differentiation, neurons are brain cells. The number of mitochondrial cell increases. But if we decrease mitochondrial function or mitochondrial production, it impairs our brain cells production. This is all interconnected, all interrelated. Clean the cells, boost mitochondria, see how you're going to think. Awesome. This is just, I'm just showing you the scientific sort of, this is from the study. This is immune cell. This is one of the immune cells, and the importance of mitochondria. Importance of mitochondria in immune cell. If the mitochondria in immune cells is not working right, the immune cells get confused. When the immune cell gets confused, we are dealing with autoimmune disorders. So again, it's not like the drugs and stuff. This is the whole body. You're going to clean every cell with proper upregulation and proper food. So it's going to clean brain cells and liver cells and immune cells, the whole body cells. And then when you have the proper immune system, it's going to start working right and take care of cells that don't belong in the body, like mutated cancer cells. Now, everybody knows autistic spectrum disorder. Look at this. Look at this. Same thing. Microbes, environmental toxins, epigenetics. Epigenetics, that's exactly what we are talking about. Epigenetics means bad food on our genes. Because 97% of our genes are actually flexible, meaning that our 97% of our genes, it's like a script. And the food that we put is like a producer with footnotes. So the producer with good footnotes is going to tell, okay, Eugene, you're going to be upregulated this way, exactly the way I want you to. Now, you put footnotes of a bad, toxic producer, negative producer, horrible movie director. So it's going to turn this 97% into bad signals. This is the essence of epigenetics. That's where we take charge. We take control. And see how important it is in autistic spectrum disorder. 50 to 80% of children with autism have mitochondrial dysfunction. And all of them probably have oxidative stress. That's it. Now, the high level of homocysteine, again, it's an indication of oxidative stress. Negatively correlates with glutathione. Now, and you see again, so let's say vitamin B12, that's you're going to get from food. Either you're going to get it from food or you're going to get it from the supplementation. So for example, I'm a vegan. I don't get vitamin B12 from foods. I need to supplement it. People who eat animal protein, you get vitamin B12. But interestingly enough, a lot of meatitarians and not vegetarians are B12 deficient. Be vigilant. When you have your blood work done, make sure the B12 is included. This is more of the autistic spectrum. It's not that I'm telling you to take sulforaphane. Absolutely do that. Eat your broccoli, eat your Brussels sprouts, because sulforaphane is also an NRF2 activator, a mild NRF2 activator. But this is the quote from the paper. Sulforaphane protects cells from oxidative stress, inflammation, DNA damage in autistic spectrum disorder. Well, actually, this was the autistic spectrum disorder simulated in mice. So this is the summary. I already mentioned that. Again, this is just another summary. Now, and that's what we need to do. Eat right. Eat your nutrient-dense foods and then do the cellular upregulation. Boost your NRF2 via NRF2 upregulator and add mitochondrial boost. Those two are 1-2 punch. Now, they're patented, they're safe, the composition is very, very simple. It's herbs and roots and extracts. So I really don't want to get into the ingredients. I'll just give you the example. NRF2. NRF2 protandum is the extract of bacopa or rosehip in Alberta, milk thistle, ashwagandha, it's just purified form, an extract of green tea, and an extract of turmeric. And I'm sure you're familiar basically with everything. So how can you go wrong with a combination of those 5 superfoods? You can't. How can you go wrong with very, very small concentrations synergistically concocted? Now, NRF1 proteinum is also very clean. It is based on grape extract. It's a grape itself, it's a grape juice, it's a grape skin, it's a grape seed, it's all goodness of the grape. Then it is quercetin, it is alpha-lipoic acid, it's L-carnitine, the amazing, amazing stuff which not only boosts mitochondria on its own, but stimulates the production of mitochondria. Everyone needs to take eat quercetin, eat your apples, eat your onions. Now, let's talk about microgut. How important microgut is, very important. So we started with the cells, and now we're going to talk about the body, because we're talking about probiotics. And probiotics, we are covered with the bugs from head to toe. Our scalp has microflora. Our skin has microflora. Obviously, our gut is a major contributing factor. People think that our urine is sterile. No, our urine has a microflora, and it has to be the right microflora. And the thing is, right microflora, very important. But how are you going to maintain right microflora if they're going to live in a dirty home? So your gut, your microgut, your probiotics, this usually what we're talking about, colonic probiotics. Well, where do they live? They live in the colon. So why do you think inflammatory bowel disease like Crohn's colitis, like ulcerative colitis, like irritable bowel syndrome are associated with deficient microgut? Well, because the home is dirty. The home is dirty, the home is pussy, the home is ulcerated, the home is bleeding. The bugs don't want to live in that garbage. Clean the home. Do all of the above that I said before, and then upregulate your microgut, and your microgut will start flourishing and reboosting yourself and regaining that potency to upregulate our immune system by over 80%. I need to update that slide. And producing serotonin, our happy medium, a happy neurotransmitter. Tons of probiotics on the market. I like mine because it gets where it belongs. And it gets it has what is called targeted delivery. So for example, lactobacilli rhamnosus, they belong in the small gut, they end up in the small gut. But bifidobacilli of different categories, they don't belong in a small gut. They end up in a large gut because of the specific targeted biotract protection or biotract delivery. And my probiotic passes the stomach acid, which is important. And my probiotic is alive. We need to understand there's an absolute synergy between NRF2 upregulation, mitochondrial boost, and the microgut. Your microgut is not going to survive without proper NRF2 activation. And dysfunctional mitochondria is going to harm the microgut. That everything works together. This is the thing, leaky gut. Bad gut, leaky gut is going to turn microgut into a bad thing. How do you take care of the leaky gut? You eat right, and you upregulate, clean the oxidative stress, and you boost your mitochondria. That's how you take care of your leaky gut. The interesting thing is when people have leaky gut, their manifestations are in the brain, for example. They don't even know that they have leaky gut, but they have depression. And that's why you basically need to look at the whole body and go holistic, go start looking at yourself alternatively, not just symptom by symptom.
So
thank you very much. My husband just arrived. So hello, say hi to people. Yes. Hi, people.
Hello, people.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, people.
So this is an live presentation. So thank you. Let me just stop sharing, and so we can have a discussion.